Is the Q80D enough, or is it better to go for the QN85D? Keeping into account the QN85D tends to be more expensive. Well, this is a question many people ask because although both models are from 2024, they are still marketed in many countries. Although both models have many similarities, such as having an LCD screen with quantum dot color technology and a VA panel. The main difference has to do with the LED backlighting technology. Both use direct LED backlighting technology with full array and local dimming. The main difference is that the QN85D features mini LEDs, meaning smaller LEDs, larger number of them, and more dimming zones. However, in some occasions, the local dimming on the QN85D could be considered a bit aggressive, making blacks look too deep, and at the same time the level of detail is sometimes compromised. Although setting the local dimming too low can fix this. On the other hand, the level of detail on the Q80D is better, but the blacks don't look as deep as they do on the QN85D. It's also true that the amount of blooming on the QN85D is almost imperceptible, almost zero, while on the Q80D it can be slightly more noticeable, especially if there are subtitles in the scene. However, this can be significantly fixed on the Q80D by setting the local dimming too low. And while this means that the blacks on the Q80D don't look as deep as they do on the QN85D, the truth is that if you're not sitting next to the QN85D, you probably won't even notice that change, which is why for many people the Q80D might be more than enough in this area. So in this dark scenes performance, the QN85D is better for you if, like me, you're more demanding in terms of perceiving deeper blacks and almost no blooming effect. On the other hand, if you want a better level of detail, even though the blacks don't look as black, so to speak, and you might perceive a bit of clouding effect, though nothing alarming, then the Q80D is better for you because it also provides a better level of detail, as you can perceive by modifying the local dimming feature. Speaking of color scenes, both TVs have this HDR tone mapping parameter that is activated when the content has some type of high dynamic range technology, and when activated, it is responsible of highlighting the colors and improving the contrast. The main difference in this area has to do with when the content is in a standard dynamic range, because the QN85D has this auto HDR remastering parameter to make a standard dynamic range content look like it has high dynamic range, while the Q80D doesn't have this option. Speaking of color saturation, both TVs have this color booster parameter to improve the results. And speaking of the color saturation capacity of both TVs, considering they both have quantum dot color technology, the result is actually quite good. Let's just say that there is a bit more color volume in the QN85D because it's brighter, but the Q80D also does a very good job in this area. And speaking of brightness levels, the values I'm providing on the screen are based on the movie picture mode and of course measured with white backgrounds on the screen. I want to point out that brightness levels vary depending on every picture mode and every scene. You can perceive of course more brightness on the QN85D, but from my point of view, the amount of brightness that the Q80D has is more than enough for the vast majority of users. The gray color uniformity in both models is more than decent, the amount of the dirty screen effect is very minimal, being slightly less in the QN85D, but when watching content with a lot of color, I consider that the dirty screen effect is imperceptible in both TVs. The results in terms of viewing angles, although they are not the best, let's say that in the QN85D they are slightly better compared to the Q80D for some reason. While in the Q80D, let's say that they are terrible, but in both TVs the result is normal because they have a VA panel, but as I said, they are slightly better in the QN85D. The image upscaling result is the same on both TVs since they have the same processor. And although this processor has artificial intelligence, the truth is that the result isn't incredibly surprising. Just remember what I always say. Don't expect a 4K TV to show you 4K results if the content resolution is low. But at least when that's the case, both TVs try to show you a much better result compared to other models. The result in terms of motion handling is also the same, is very good. They both try to considerably reduce the amount of the judder as well as the amount of blur effects. You can do this manually or the TVs do it automatically. And the amount of the artifacts you might notice are not annoying. Talking now about the gaming area, the most important thing you should know is that both TVs support 120Hz in 4K on all of their 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, and also they support variable refresh rate technologies. Neither of these TVs support 144Hz in 4K. However, if you're planning to use them with the current gaming consoles, 120Hz in 4K will be more than enough. Input lag times, both theoretically and practically, are very good on both TVs, and I think almost every user will be more than satisfied with either of these options. On both TVs, you need to activate game mode to get the best results. You should also activate this picture mode in order to make a game bar appear on the screen, which is the same on both TVs and has the same features. For example, you can make appear an aiming aid on the screen, which can be very useful for many users. And the most important thing will be these picture modes. They are the same on both TVs. They both have the auto picture mode, which is supposed to choose the best picture mode according to the type of video game you're going to play by using artificial intelligence. And when the video game uses some kind of high dynamic range technology, you'll have access to these additional settings, such as HDR gaming, although I actually recommend leave it off so you can select one of the picture modes provided by the game bars, otherwise you won't be able to do it. And in the case of the HDR Plus for gaming function, I don't consider it relevant because most video games are not compatible with HDR10 Plus. The overall performance in this gaming area on both TVs is very good. I would say it's practically the same. They have very good response times, they're relatively low, and they handle motion very well. I personally didn't notice any ghosting effect, but perhaps a highly trained gamer might notice this effect a bit. But from my point of view, it wouldn't be alarming or distracting. So both TVs will be excellent options in this area if you really like the Samsung brand. Just remember that in darker scenes, the QN85D will have a slightly better performance. And for the smart area, you simply must know that both TVs have practically the same. They have the same remote control known as One Remote. It can be charged via solar panel or via USB Type-C port, and the same case will work. Both of course have the same operating system, is Tizen, it's by this brand. The fluency or smoothness of the operating system is very good on both models. When you want to open apps, when you want to load videos, when you want to fast forward or rewind videos. The truth is that both TVs respond very well and it feels like a very good experience. It's not stressful at all, but keep in mind that this will obviously also depend on the internet download speed you have at home. On both, you have the option of these menus with shortcuts, and you can change the location of these icons if necessary, which I find very useful. The App Store is the same, specific to the Tizen operating system, but you should keep in mind that the apps and features vary by every country. For example, here in my country, Samsung TV Plus app and the Gaming Hub feature are not available. Both TVs have hands-free feature for searching by using voice commands, and both TVs have the option for screen mirroring and also the multi-view function. Finally, I will talk to you about their speaker system, which from my point of view, both in theory and in practice, is the same. The performance felt the same, although I'll leave you with a short test at the end so you can get a rough idea of how they might perform in real life. But overall, I think the performance is very good. They have a very good power, very good clarity, and the amount of distortion is almost zero, even when increasing the volume to the maximum capacity on both models. Finally, if you guys ask me which one of these models I recommend you, well, obviously go for the Mini LED if you can get it at a price that's not so far from the Q80D. Because if the difference is too high, with the Q80D being much cheaper, I would say the Q80D is more than enough and you will save a good amount of money, taking into account of course that you really like the Samsung brand or that you're really only between these two options, because obviously there are better options from other brands or from the same brand, but they can be more expensive. Without further to add, please let us know at the comment section down below what you think about these models, which one will you buy and why. I remind you guys you can support my channel by doing some purchases through the links I put in the description and in the first comment. Also click the like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and until next time.
The swarm brought ruin to our world. The swarm brought ruin to our world. Our proud people became refugees. Our proud people became refugees. And yet, they could not shatter our unity. And yet, they could not shatter our unity.